Hey everyone, this podcast is coming to you from the Psychic Dolphin Garage. You can support this show and our larger efforts to build a leftist community through podcasting and other projects over at patreon.com/Psychic Dolphin Garage. That's patreon.com/PSYCHICDOLPHIN Garage, which is spelled how it sounds.
Yeah, notably walkable city, Houston, Texas.
Well, I mean, see, that's the whole point, is that eventually we're just going to build, like, giant mega towers that are 30 blocks by 30 blocks, so...
Oh, there you go, yeah. And halfway underwater.
The transit Facebook group that gave Bernie Sanders their endorsement would totally love the idea of actual dense housing inside of megacities, so, honestly, that sounds like praxis.
Okay, What about this? Subways, but they go around the actual building on different floors, okay?
Those are called domways.
Roller coaster?
An actual roller coaster?
It's just a roller coaster so that you get to, like, you strap it in and then it's for 30 floors and then you're at work.
Yeah, I love a fucking loop-de-loop on the way to work with a hot coffee in my hand.
Do you think that's how we could actually pitch public transportation to people? Just be like, hey, it's like a roller coaster that can take you to work.
No, look.
The Superman commuting experience brought to you by Coca-Cola.
We make it dangerous enough to meet, like, roller coaster safety standards, and then we pitch it.
Yeah, you are not allowed to use public transportation if you have a heart condition or are pregnant.
Psychic Dolphin Garage.
Hey everyone, I'm Kelton.
I'm Zach.
And I'm Bo.
And welcome to another episode of Psychic Dolphin Garage. This week we have Alexxus from the Motherhood and Other Oddities podcast. How's it going?
Hi, it is going fantastic. I am really, really excited to be here.
I mean, that makes one of us, and that's the most important thing.
I will carry the spirit of this episode.
Fuck
okay?
Yes, I love that energy.
I mean, that's what we expect of every female guest. We need some sense of nurturing and just this idea to be made safe and feel good, like we're actually worth a damn. Isn't that right, fellas?
Emotional labor is good to exploit, actually.
Hey, what if it was fee-emotional labor? I fucked that up. Mommy, do the joke for me.
I saw where you were going, though, and it was admirable.
Thank you. I'm validated.
I will always validate.
The real basic version of it is calling you teacher mom. The advanced one is calling another podcaster mom.
Oh, no. Thanks for joining us this week. We always love having guests on the show.
Yeah, I mean, just any guest. I mean, it lets us know it's not three weird leftists in Texas kind of just all rambling to each other. So it's a great feeling. But coming up, actually, before we forget, it's actually on the day that this episode is coming out, we are doing our YouTube Super Tuesday live stream and hashtag Dead Rat Party. It's going to be happening in our Discord, and we want everyone to be sure and join. It's going to be happening at 8 p.m. Central Time, because we're in Texas, so of course we're going with our time zone, not yours, okay? And it's going to be our big political blowout of sorts before we leave all of the nitpicking of electoralism to other professionals.
You can say wonks, Kelton.
Okay, what about Wonker Cronkite? Has that been done before?
Not on wonk with the hard R. That's too far.
Yeah, other people know more and better things about, like, why each and every specific electoral, state is important, and we don't care. We're just, can't wait to get to the end of it and watch Bernie be rat fucked. So, yeah. One last huzzah before we take in the ass.
I mean, that's what we're trying to do, right? Turn all of our microphones into dildos.
We're trying to take in the ass, yes.
This is a firmly pro-bottoming podcast, so I'm not appreciating this metaphor here.
Yeah, we can't be bottom of the barrel and be anti-bottom. Haha, moving on.
All right.
That was actually funny. Fuck you.
Man.
Anywhere that you listen to our podcast and you can leave us a review, please put 5 stars and something dumb down, because we will read your review in our next episode.
But as helpful as 5-star reviews are for our program, because algorithms, blah, 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 you've heard it all before. If you are going to spend the time to actually write a review, please write a 1-star review to any right-wing podcast and take a screenshot of it. Post it in our Discord, and then we can read that on air too.
Or tweet it at us.
It's time for some targeted harassment.
That's right. That's exactly what we're going for. Not the fact that they actually deserve the 1-star by any means, but it's a good way of just letting us know that we're out here. Come on, let's try and take them down a couple notches.
Yeah.
But also just for the record, for any people that are actually listening, if you want to give us a 1-star review, you can't actually do that unless Bo has had sex with your girlfriend. Then you can, but I mean, like,
right,
that just means that Bo has had sex with your girlfriend. So however many 1-star reviews, that's how many people Bo has cucked.
What is this fucking podcaster prima nocta you've cooked up? This I didn't sign up to this.
We do what we can to try and make the podcast a little more edgy going into 2020, Bo.
This
we
is
all
a hell
have
of a
to do
Patreon reward. I don't know. We'll talk about it.
Zach is going to be working on editing some video content for us. I'm going to be doing a sports show. You are going to be fucking your way through all of our 1-star people. All right?
All right, great, good.
Solid strategy.
Yeah.
Rock hard strategy.
This wasn't inspired at all, by the way, from what is actually our tweet of the week that comes from Jill Bennett, who is a Vancouver local news reporter. She was sent to a Costco to see if people were stocking up on supplies just in case of coronavirus. It was going to get more serious there. And while she was there, she took a photo of what I think is a true king leaving the Costco with 16 boxes of condoms and a big jar of coconut oil.
I saw that, and I was just, on one hand, I was like, oh, like, amazing. You know what? Score 1 for you. Like, you've got your priorities straight, man. Like, I
You're being
applaud
safe.
that.
Yeah,
you're being safe. Like, fuck them hoes. Like, awesome, great, do it. But then I was like, oh, but please do not use coconut oil as lube because it is not good for the condoms, and you will get a girl pregnant. So,
Yep.
There was
Okay,
two sides.
have we thought, though, that maybe this wasn't him actually prepping for coronavirus, okay? Maybe this was just another Friday night for this guy. We don't know what his life is like. Maybe he just goes through that many.
Maybe he just likes to cook, like, with coconut oil, for all we know.
Look, sometimes you end up being the guy that has to bring the supplies for the polycule.
There you go. There you fucking go.
I'm glad that reporters are now tweeting about condoms and sex. This is actually a wonderful step for sex education in America.
Well, see, this was happening in Canada, though.
Oh, true.
It's that Vancouver. Okay.
Okay. You got me
Don't get
there.
your
I didn't know they had
hopes up right
Costco
now.
up there.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's almost like they're a real country sometime. Yeah. But needless to say, I think that pretty much sums up all of our coronavirus coverage, right? Like, nothing else really to touch on here as we're rapidly descending into what is clearly just a new game of pandemic.
No,
and
it's
Yeah, nothing to do with the coronavirus. Coronavirus is fine. We're definitely not going to be paying thousands of dollars for the for the cure that they've developed now. And for each person. And it's definitely not going to, as I said, ravage the homeless population that is now stuck outside, especially going into the summer months.
By the way, shout out really to Zach for this, because Zach tweeted about this probably 3 weeks ago or so, probably 4 weeks ago by the time this podcast actually comes out. And people just now are getting around to the fact of like, hey, this could not be the best for homeless people. And I just have to admire Zach's immediate pessimism upon the news of it spreading. Just he called his shot right there. You have to admire that.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, I mean, I'm also glad that I'm in front of the people that are calling for, once you've caught it, going out and infecting the homeless people with it. Definitely can't wait to see that happen.
I mean, you joke, but I guarantee you some fucking right-wing grifter applying for TPUSA for the 3rd time this month is definitely planning that exact thing, and they've oiled up their selfie stick just to really, really get ready.
God, I'm so happy that the homeless populations that have already been ravaged by like Black Plague
or just
and
like homelessness,
the Spanish flu,
and how that sucks.
I mean, on top of that, the fact that they're already at risk for diseases that don't circulate within the general population very commonly, like, are going to be tortured with this, essentially. But
on the plus side,
we don't
we're
get any
all
more Saw
guaranteed-
movies because we just force people to be homeless and then like can kill them for fun or whatever. I don't know.
But have you thought that maybe they're choosing to be homeless, Zach?
Have
if
you
they
thought
pull
that-
themselves up by their bootstraps,
All of-
maybe some.
Okay. Conspiracy theory. There are no homeless people. This is all just a giant marketing campaign for the next Purge movie.
Speaking of shit movies, Disney kicked out Bob Iger, who's been their guy for more or less, forever, and replaced the new CEO is another Bob who, up till now, has been running the fucking theme parks.
Hell yeah!
As Martin Scorsese compared the Marvel movies to, basically being fucking roller coasters, Disney looked him dead in the eyes and said, "Bet." And now, yeah, they doubled down. I expect the next fucking Disney movie, like original Disney movie, and not just like a remake of, I don't know, Lion King again, just for the fuck of it. Or better yet, the remake of Jafar's Revenge, the direct-to-DVD or VHS Aladdin sequel. It's just going to be shaky handheld cam footage of Mr. Toad's Wild Ride, The Ride. It's going to be something like that. It's going to suck, is my point.
Well, I just love the fact that on the day that this announcement took place, that was also when the Jungle Cruise roller coaster ride that they had sunk at Disney World. And so people were like, yeah, this is great. This isn't fate at all. Everything's fine. Let's not worry about it.
Chapek is the like, he's held lots of different positions, and he's been in charge of a lot of the different rebranding stuff. I'm glad that we're bringing new talent into Disney and really opening up. Disney as a jobs creator really is just a great company. I really support their vision and the wonderful things that they bring to our society.
Okay, blink twice if you're being paid thousands of dollars to say
You
this.
can't see him behind the Mickey Mouse mask, so it doesn't matter.
This isn't Dead Mouse. It's Mickey Mouse. Okay, everything.
It's a Mickey Mouse purge mask. That's what Zach is wearing right now.
We cover pop culture, and 90%
God.
of pop culture in America is owned by Disney's. What I'm saying is that we rely on Disney now at this point, okay? One of us had to sell out.
Yeah, I was doing this just so I could dunk on them. That's the only reason, okay? But inevitably, by dunking on them, I'm then letting people know, oh God, it's a vicious cycle. They win no matter what.
Honestly, yeah. Well, like...
We've got two actual parents on the podcast for a change. Are y'all's... is y'all's crew into Disney at all?
My daughter is already making like the Disney princess dolls that she has kiss. So that's progress.
We
I
stand.
guess.
We stand.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, my son is obsessed with Elsa from Frozen.
Yes.
And it's
That's
the funniest
adorable.
thing. And he like yes, and we'll go to the store and stuff, and he'll pick out the dresses and stuff like that. So I'm like, hell yeah, it's Disney, it's princesses, whatever. Like, go
Yeah.
for it, man. You do you.
As a parent, like I have to always be like, man, this will be so cool. Look at this idea of not defining any specific gender roles or any sort of clothing options. But then, like, inevitably, all children disappoint. So does that mean that like we're just raising a whole bunch of fashion designers?
I gotta say, I'm really glad that
Yes.
Disney is finally getting
Yes.
the young men of America into featureless, skinny, blonde women. It's been too long, and I'm glad it's finally their time.
Have we also mentioned the fact that she's emotionally damaged? Huh?
Oh boy, oh boy.
My favorite kind of woman.
The college years are for getting to know intimately all of the sorority girls that you will then date for the next 5 years, and then realize in 15 were terribly emotionally damaging years for you.
Well, like, considering the fact that in college, like, for the most part, I got laid being, like, a human BuzzFeed quiz.
Oh Jesus.
Please elaborate.
You won't believe, like, which of these 9 different Disney princesses you're like,
Here's a Four Loko. I'm having a Four Loko. Let's just make this happen.
Kelton turned human interaction into an
Oh
Excel
my
sheet,
God.
and he just memorized the spreadsheet so that he could just like hit the main like 4 or 5 ones, and then it's like, oh, I'm getting laid now. Nice.
So you're saying it's like a choose your own adventure book for fuckboys, is what you're saying.
What he's saying
absolutely.
is those spreadsheets have been passed down from his father and his father's father and his father's father before him.
That's why all those Disney remakes are very important, yeah.
You must take the lessons of the anti-Semite who made Snow White, and you must use it against him. Okay? You must use it to get laid. It is the ultimate in long con.
Incredible indeed. Like, incredible in that I cannot fucking credulously believe this is a conversation we're having right now.
The Incredibles.
Nice.
Well, I mean, it's a ridiculous topic about what we're talking about, but I mean, like the actual idea of what Disney is doing in its reality today is even more fantastical. I mean, like Mulan, they are trying to push that for everyone, which, I mean, by the way, good fucking luck trying to sell Mulan internationally in China with the coronavirus coming out.
Oh boy, I didn't even think about this.
Damn. Yeah, well, they've rebranded all of their movies now. They've redone, Aladdin was the last one, or no, Lion King was the last one.
I think fucking
before
one
that.
of them. Who knows?
Yeah, they've redone a lot of them, and they've like re-envisioned the stories. It's not like a shot-for-shot live action version.
I mean, Lion King was.
Other than the soulless CGI, of course.
Yeah.
Birds' beaks don't move like that. The larger point being, though, is that Disney has claimed that one of the reasons that they got rid of the main love interest in Mulan when adapting it into live action was because of the Me Too movement.
Yeah, which I found interesting, because it didn't feel like a legitimate reason.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Are you saying that Disney is not being the most forthcoming with its genuine reasons about why it would restructure something?
You're right.
Boy, have I got an amazing Lady and the Tramp remake to sell you. You won't believe your eyes.
It's Milo and Otis, but it's just the dogs like fucking instead of having to watch them birth the puppies.
Well, see, like Disney
that.
does do shit like this every time, though, when they're like, well, the alternative actually would be if we were to make it with real dogs, but then that might involve putting them in precarious situations, and you don't want us to kill more dogs, do you? And then people are like, oh, see, I guess CGI is great, ignoring the fact that maybe they just shouldn't make the fucking movie to begin with.
It's really like you're caught between a rock and a hard place, except you aren't. You could just write it the way it was meant to be written, but it's almost like Disney writers are like a bunch of liberals without a rigorous enough framework to be able to address, material conditions or any sort of character or emotional development that individuals could have inside of like the idea of us acting like human beings and in a sociable way and learning things outside of gender and gender roles, but
kind of like how Mulan works as a movie.
Yeah, like how Mulan the movie works, and it doesn't matter how Li Shang acts because it was actually written with like this complex character in mind.
I mean, that's the thing. It's not like the original movie is particularly like gross or creepy or anything. So by them saying, "Hey, we're doing this in response to the Me Too movement," it's like, what fucking movie did you watch, Disney? Come on.
I mean, we all wanted to fuck Eddie Murphy as the dragon. Right?
Absolutely. Well, that's a whole other conversation.
Yeah. Like
they clearly had to get rid of that because of the overt sexual theme.
Just too hot. Just the
we're
raw
not
sexual energy
arguing that.
of the Eddie Murphy dragon. Yes, we all agree on this. I'm sure everyone listening agrees.
The thing that I thought about when I was watching Mulan was definitely that Li Shang was, the commanding officer and had a particular interest in one of the soldiers, and it was not the fact that Li Shang, was a dude looking at another dude going, "Damn, dude," because I was aware that I was kind of homosexual, but it didn't, crop up as like an issue in my mind. It was just like, oh yeah, boys are cool too.
Yeah, I didn't even think about this. The bi erasure going on here. Not cool, Disney.
Yeah, no, and that what my main thing was whenever I first saw it on Twitter is I was like, well, why can't he just be bisexual? Like, why is it that why are pansexual even? Like,
exactly.
Fell in love
it's like,
with
hey, this
person.
guy's cute. Oh, this girl's cute.
Yeah, like what's wrong with that?
They are still having us then fight a battle on their terms because it's like, okay, let's add you know, this like woke pansexual gender fluid Chinese general, because that was around back then, definitely and for sure, because this is a Disney movie.
Yeah, the most representation we've got so far is that fucking ogre cop character that everybody's been posting about, the Cyclops. Yeah, it's like, yeah, that's the first explicitly LGBT Disney character, a fucking cop.
2 steps forward,
Jesus.
1 step back. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, like it's also like the kind of, I hate to say, you know, that Disney is like a company that makes money off of the products and characters that it creates and sells, but like,
yes, because they totally created Mulan. It wasn't based on a 1,000-year-old local.
No,
legend.
ancient China did not exist until some asshole in the 90s was like, you know what, we should have a movie where the princess is a warrior.
yeah.
But yeah.
Disney doesn't profit off its
Finally.
IP and doesn't manipulate the perception that we have of its IP in order to sell more of the branding that it's created. But you know, I gotta say, like, it does feel like, you know, I'm
A
supposed
little
to think
cheap,
that
maybe?
I'm supposed to think that these characters, that I relate to them, and that I'm consuming their content because I relate to their characters, instead of like creating characters that are relatable for reasons other than marketing.
Yeah. Honestly, before we move on to bigger and better media, I gotta say the most grossly heteronormative part of the Mulan remake is they're getting rid of the musical numbers. And I mean, I don't know about y'all, that's one of the best parts of that fucking movie, or any Disney movie for that matter, and it breaks my fucking heart that they're just throwing out anything about being as swift as a coursing river.
Yeah, I was about to say, like, how many young boys has experienced their first, like, real bisexual awakening to the idea of Donny Osmond singing about getting down to business?
I mean, it's basically a Tom of Finland drawing when you think about it. Anyway, that's my piece.
I mean, it's an important thing. Representation matters. And thankfully, though, there are increasingly more and more options other than Disney. You know, we can look at Hulu, for example. Wait, hold on. Sorry, forgot about that one, guys. There's a new streaming service coming out, though. Or I guess it's actually been out now for about a week. And that is Means TV. Which, I mean, I'm sure everyone has already heard of before, but for anyone who hasn't, it is now available everywhere. You can download the app. It costs $10 a month. There are a whole bunch of amazing people already on it. Trillbilly, Street Fight Radio, the Southpaw Sports Podcast.
Left trigger for all you gamers out there.
That's right. I mean, there's a wide variety of content, which I think is something that we all should not feel obligated to support, because I mean, like, $10 a month is still $10 a month.
And
but
you could be giving us $10 a month instead of.
Shut the fuck up.
I mean, yeah, Zach, we should be talking about that. They could be giving us $15 a month. Okay.
Oh my
True.
god.
Look, instead of giving 10 to Means and 5 to us, you could give us 15, or you could even bump it up because you think that we create such good content, and
You just
because
buy me dinner sometime while you're at it.
because we haven't been included in Means TV's, you know, large slate of shows that we deserve even more.
Us, the
because,
very qualified Psychic Dolphin Garage. Yes.
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 Psychic Dolphin University. We went to Minion Death Cult University to get our degrees to be you know, to have the credentials to run the show.
We have fought tooth and nail to get to where we are, doing absolutely nothing. You hear me?
Yeah,
we
like-
have been around for weeks already with no recognition whatsoever. How can we chase the coattails of people who are chasing the coattails of people who are chasing the coattails of people who are Chapo if we don't get the recognition immediately right off the bat? We are white men, after all. How are we not supposed to get stuff immediately? This is
Yeah.
ridiculous.
Right.
Like,
right.
how do you and Alexxus feel about, like, the possibility of having kids content on Means TV, Kelton?
I mean, that'd be dope. That'd be great.
Oh, it's yeah. They've got like kids cartoons.
Well,
Just
it's $10 a month to Disney or $10 a month to Means TV. Alexxus, what are you gonna want to show your kids? Frozen for the 75th fucking time?
Yeah, it's either that or Toy Story these days, I swear. And then I'm also that terrible parent that lets my kid watch selective episodes of Rick and Morty because he accidentally watched it one time and got a tat.
It's the dragon episode, unfortunately, but
Oh, no.
make do with what you can.
On the bright side, I mean, Rick and Morty is a cartoon for children, so
Yes, well, it was originally created to be a kids cartoon, from what I understand, or there was supposed to always be a kids cartoon spin-off of it, which I thought was really interesting. I don't know.
Harmon and
It's
kids cartoons.
Okay, well, I hate to be the one here, but it's always great on mic live to crush someone's
to
interpretation.
break someone's heart.
Yeah, but the boy who told you that at the bar was lying to you.
the boy at the bar. Oh man,
It,
I am hurt and offended, sir.
it started off as a parody of Back to the Future, where Marty and Doc fucked each other.
Family-friendly content, of course.
Yeah, no, absolutely, absolutely. So back to the original thing. My only qualm with television is I try not to let my kid watch it too much, but at any rate, it's just like if it'll keep him quiet for like 5 minutes, you know what? Like, go bananas. Like,
That is
honestly,
that is like the parental chess match that you play with the child's attention span.
yeah. So it's like if I can get 10 minutes to myself to do something, or like it's so I can finish getting ready for work in the morning or whatever it is, like, go for it, man. And I think that's just that's the just offset of that, like, tail end millennial Gen Z parenting that's just pure shit.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
we're not going
yeah.
to be remembered for our parenting. Let's just focus on being like the amazing activists that were shitty parents in their personal lives that gets forgiven in the end by history. Okay,
That's how you
at
make
least
a
what
Pete
I'm striving
Buttigieg, all right?
for.
That is not an endorsable platform there.
Yeah, speaking of Pete Buttigieg, by the way, R.I.P. to a real one. Am I right, guys?
All right, Pete. That's so dumb. I love it.
Oh man.
It's
Jesus.
it's nice to know. I mean, this happened right before we were recording, so it'll be dead news by the time this comes out with y'all. But Mayor Pete actually dropped out, which is fantastic news. Once again, proving that
Fucking God.
it once again proves that Iowa is a hell world of a state.
It's
Just,
amazing. It's amazing that Pete is. I think he's pulling higher than Warren, and he's also got more money than her. But he is dropping out because he already sees he sees what's happening, and he's just angling for that Biden cabinet nomination.
Oh yeah,
I knew that Ratatouille reboot would not work.
Disney strikes yet again. I mean, it is weird though, because with the kick into the teeth that South Carolina was a little bit for people. I mean, just with the margins mostly. Bernie has had this immediate groundswell following those results, and people across the board have been donating. I mean, the day following South Carolina, it was $4.5 million that he raised.
Yeah.
Like, it's incredible to me, because I think we all know what's actually going to be happening right now. I mean, the article came out saying it's Bernie versus everyone, and then people were saying, oh, no, that's not the case. Then Buttigieg drops out basically to help bolster Biden's campaign, or whoever the eventual frontrunner is,
Yeah,
further
forming that
verifying
centrist cerebus, yeah.
that it actually is then Bernie versus everyone. I mean, Warren specifically, I think...
Cerberus, sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really what everybody was worrying about, me doing the dumb mythological dog's name right.
I guess something I want to bring us back to, since we talked about Means TV and now we're talking about Bernie's fundraising. What does it look like when we're through? If Bernie wins or loses, what do we do with this groundswell? Do we tell everybody to just subscribe to Means TV and go back to their jobs?
Like, we won, go home. I mean,
Yeah.
obviously not.
Are we looking for the next? Are we looking for the next? Are we hoping Rose Caucus gets really big and people continue donating money? It's a super capitalist super capitalist occurrence, I guess, that we're having to basically crowdfund the politics that we want to see.
I mean, is there a better way though, other than crowdfunding the politics that we want to see, rather than having like some Silicon Valley investor pushing politics that we don't agree with, but brainwashing us into siding with that?
Well, like, as long as we can't just pull an Oregon and cordon off part of Texas and declare it Texas 2 and establish it as the communist, country on its own, then I guess there isn't really a way until we have a larger structure and a Democratic Party in place that is going to take action and put in place things
represent
that we really
what people
want.
actually give a shit about and care about and their needs.
Yeah, well, I mean, it is a weird spot to be in, though, because I think that if Bernie does get rat fucked, I mean, there's a lot of unbroken windows in Milwaukee. So if he gets rat fucked at the convention, I think we can expect some yellow vesting there. But if he does win, weirdly enough, I think that's going to almost hurt the bubble a little bit more. That is this leftist podcasting, because I mean, like, I would imagine probably like 90% of the audience, realistically here, grandstanding aside, is going to be placated with the idea of free housing and free healthcare and getting all of their actual baselines met. To be sure, there will still be imperialism happening. There will still be all of these other bad things happening. Don't get me wrong about that. But that to say that, we're going to have the exact same fire in the belly no matter what happens is, I think, a little foolhardy. But, I mean, if people genuinely believe it, I mean, that'd be a fun conversation to have with them.
I mean, that's why we got to get around in front of it now, right? Is to say, hey, this is a great first step. It's not nearly the end of the battle, let alone the end of the war.
Precisely.
I mean, the long-term goal is establishing, democratic worker-controlled work environments, taking the reins of power away from dipshit billionaire mummies, basically, and putting in the hands of people who, whose lives are affected by the decisions that are made.
Yeah, and
like Hunter Biden, I agree.
I hate
absolutely, just Joe Biden.
I hate to steal, anything from Pete Buttigieg because, sometimes he brings up things that are worth talking about, such as the revolutionary movements of the 60s. The reason why those ended up failing to produce real societal change across the board was because the Reagan and the Truman presidencies fought so hard. They fought literally tooth and nail to protect the white majority, to protect the white supremacy, that those majorities were founded on.
Also sending in FBI agents to, COINTELPRO.
By doing that, COINTELPRO was an effort to protect white supremacist structures that have already existed, and it was a way to protect the way that, as they put it, law and order, and it was how they reestablished the dominance of liberalism, of now neoliberalism, and there's no way to get past that hump without essentially bursting right through it. And even those radical movements of the 60s, of leading into the 70s, were defeated with money. Were defeated with counterintelligence that was far less capable than it is today of getting into every little part of our lives and jailing us silently, getting rid of us. And it's even turned into this law and order, this basic decency line has now become the line of the parties. It's once again even, and it harkens back to that same era where the parties are talking about basic decency, and the people don't want basic decency. The people want democracy. The people want their needs met. The people want their voice listened to, and there's no way for us to know how it will turn out.
I mean, we're not even getting basic decency, right? Is kind of the thing too.
Well, basic
the bill of
decency
goods
is
that we were
code
promised,
for,
or that you would expect for a fucking society to operate on, is people are taken care of, people are fed, people have their kids cared for, whatever happens to be, And I mean, we're not even getting fucking any of that anymore.
Yeah, well, basic decency.
Which is why you got to be pissed off. You got to keep that fire in your belly going.
Yeah, basic decency is code for shut up, minority. We don't care what's happening.
Yeah,
to
be
you.
Polite while the cops fucking nightstick the shit out of you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you guys remember how in Houston they show off the Space Center and they're talking about how look at this giant room that is a huge computer inside. That was all the mathematicians that they needed to work out all of the equations to get this set up and can now be done on a phone. And that's, the same computing power could send a man to the moon. Just imagine the FBI having that. But they're like, look at this room, this giant computer. We used to monitor minorities and leftists and communists with a computer this big. But now we can do it through an app on the phone. Technology has gotten us
developed by
such
some
an amazing
Silicon
point.
Valley dipshit with daddy's money. Yeah.
I mean, it is, though, a different situation than what we're currently, what was then versus now. And I think that there is a rainbow coalition of sorts that is forming. And I know at some point, I think it would be great for us to talk about the leftist coalition that Howie Hawkins is trying to implement across the board, on a slow news week, but I doubt that will ever actually be the case for us. But a candidate like Bernie Sanders... Yeah, right? Oh, thank God.
That's when we can finally, that's the day.
Pants will be off for that podcast.
That's
I'll tell
when
you that much.
the real podcasting starts.
Jesus.
The idea, though, that Bernie does have this history of being a politician and he is working through electoralism and all of these facet points ignores the fact that he is unlike a lot of politicians in the sense that he is awakening class consciousness. He is forming a legitimate rainbow coalition of sorts. And I think, as ridiculous as it sounds, that, when you have people who are Amazon worker bees and you have people who are farmers and you have people who are people who aren't even allowed to vote, for example, in Florida, and you have porn stars all working together to be their own, to have Bernie as their candidate, it shows that this is truly something special to be facing.
Well, yeah, what unites us all is that we're fucking workers, It
is weird to me still, the idea of hearing all of these different people from all of these different facets and walks in life and different professions talking about their support of Bernie Sanders. It's weird that members of the sex workers and Public Enemy and the Strokes are all in favor of the same candidate. But it's so fucking cool, though. It's
depending on the kind of work you do,
surprise.
the Strokes is a form of, Thank you for taking a second to process that.
Jesus.
Anyway.
Yeah, no, that's good. I mean, we got a pretty good thing rolling on. So I think it's time for us to go into the game. What do y'all think?
Okay.
Yeah, this episode has skewed, pretty into the communist invective side, which, don't get me wrong, I love. But yeah, let's play some fucking games around it out.
Yeah. So the game that we are going to be playing this week is a bracket. Meaning, for those unaware, we're going to take 8 things, put them in a bracket, and then we decide which advances to the subsequent rounds, and then eventually is declared winner. The metric that we are using is whatever you decide. So if Bo is judging it based on what he thinks would be cooler, great. If Alexxus is judging it off of what she thinks would be a more horrifying way to die, fine. If Zach is going off of kill counts, whatever. It doesn't matter. You're going to disagree with the results, dear listener.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it really is just mostly an excuse for us to just talk about some things. But as we all know, coronavirus has kind of been dominating the news headlines a little bit. We have a lot of things occurring. The Olympics may be canceled. Pence has been put in charge of it. People are saying to shave off your facial hair. Real oppression is what's taking place. So it made me think back to the various pandemics which have affected the United States. And so I got 8 of them lined up. Are we ready to start?
Yes.
As ready as I'm going to be.
Absolutely.
All right. So in the first round, we have polio versus scarlet fever. So for those unaware, polio ran from 1916 to 1955. It's a viral disease that affects the nervous system, causing paralysis, and had over 3,100 deaths. The scarlet fever existed specifically in the United States as a pandemic in 1858, and it's a bacterial infection that can occur after strep throat. And during the epidemic, 95% of the almost 2,100 deaths were children.
Wow. Yeah, fun game we're doing here, huh?
Wow.
I don't know.
Polio's cooler because of the iron lungs. I built polio.
Oh, Jesus.
One step closer to Iron Man.
Yeah, my favorite superhero, the Iron Lung. Yeah. Yeah, I'm going to go with polio because it gives me a fun thing to yell when I'm playing Marco Polo, and I kind of want to mix it up a lot, which doesn't come up often, but comes up more often than you'd expect.
I mean, I guess if Scarlet Fever, though, were to take place in today's society, it'd be Scarlet Witch Fever, brought to you on Disney+. So,
oh my God.
Yeah, I'm so sorry, Alexxus, but I guess your vote doesn't necessarily matter. I let the two white guys go ahead of you, so just get used to how America works. Am I right? What way would you have gone, though?
I was leaning towards polio, so I'm not entirely disappointed.
Yeah.
There we go.
I forget that you are a white woman yourself, so there is some solidarity. Next round, we have typhoid fever, which ran from 1906 to 1907. It caused sickness and red spots to form on the chest and abdomen. Specifically, claim to fame is Typhoid Mary, who was a cook who infected 122 other New Yorkers and ended up killing almost 11,000 people. So just something to keep in mind is we're forcing people who are working and having to handle food and not able to take sick days as we're dealing with the coronavirus. Just, fun little thing. Yeah.
Yeah, no, literally, I cannot take any sick days.
Yeah.
So it's just like, well, I hope I don't get fucking coronavirus.
Definitely not the kind of coronas I wanted at the Taco Bell cantina, that's for sure.
Bo is one of the 38% of Americans who has linked coronavirus with corona and has expressed the lack of desire to purchase those beverages. So
Yes, nobody else has come up with that joke.
Oh
I did make that joke very early into coronavirus news, I will have you know.
yeah, have people go back and listen. Again, you were about 2 weeks ahead of it. You see,
I'm very funny and very smart and handsome. Yes, that's what we're all saying here. I know.
yes.
Thank God this is an audio format.
So to focus then on the contender against typhoid fever, we have the measles outbreak running from 1981 to 1991. Measles, of course, has it's a fever, runny nose, cough, red eyes, and sore throat, and later a rash that spreads over the whole body. During the course of the outbreak for 10 years, it killed between 2,000 and 10,000 people each year.
I don't believe in measles. I'm also not vaccinated, so I gotta say that the only real disease here that we can pick is typhoid fever.
Oh, okay, not capitalism. I see how it is.
All right, I'm gonna go ahead and let's go for it.
Do I go for it or do I not?
I say you go for it.
I'm not gonna. I don't feel like I'm in a position to be able to tell you.
Zach decided to
what
just
you can or
jump back
cannot
into first
do.
place again. I'm saying we mix up the order so everybody gets a say.
Thank you, Bo.
I hate making
This
decisions.
is
Hey, we
right.
can edit. No worries. Feel free to take your time to just thonk on it for a second.
Amazing. It cut out at one point. Will you tell me the two things that we're picking in one more time?
We got typhoid fever with Typhoid Mary, and that's going up against the measles outbreak, which ran for 10 years and killed between 2,000 to 10,000 people each year.
Oh, I feel like I'd have to go to the typhoid fever.
And that's
Alright,
two for
alright.
typhoid fever. Once again, Bo's.
Okay.
All
doesn't
right.
matter.
Typhoid Mary, like that's intense, man.
Yeah, I mean, Bo is facing bioerasure right now.
Okay.
My underdog case for measles, right, is it's cool enough to have a comeback. It's kind of like that, 80s, 90s vaporwave retro thing to get.
It's grunge.
Like, imagine just, walking around a dead mall sneezing on each other. I think that's pretty cool, Listen to cassette tapes. It's all one big part of it. Drinking
All
from
right.
jazz cups.
All right,
Amazing.
I like Bo's pitch, but I'm gonna have to remind Bo that we're a society of consensus, so I'm gonna need you to fucking agree with everybody, or else you're kicked out of the society.
That's why every movie has to have 100% rating on Rotten Tomatoes, or I'm not going to watch
Absolutely.
such a divisive piece of trash.
Exactly.
Yeah. Parasite. Fuck this garbage. I'm watching Minions 11. Universally well reviewed by the people they paid to review it.
Oh man.
So then in round 3, we have cholera, which occurred in 3 waves, 1832, 1849, and 1866, which is, of course, an infection of the intestine causing diarrhea and vomiting.
Of
and
course.
Over 6,000 people died in the 3 outbreaks. I got very excited because I heard about how cholera affected Europe, and that was with all of the mummies. And the United States had like a much more boring reason. It was just like lack of proper sanitation is what, made us get wiped out.
Land of the free, home of the brave, baby.
So that's going up against diphtheria, which ran from 1921 to 1925. It's a swelling of the mucous membranes. Okay, say that 3 times fast. Including your throat, which can obstruct breathing and swallowing. Sometimes the bacterial toxin can enter the bloodstream and cause fatal heart and nerve damage. In certain cases, over 15,000 people died in those 4 years.
Alexxus, you want to take us away?
All right.
And keep in mind, Zach and Bo have already made up their minds. So if you don't agree with
No,
them,
I'm still thinking on it a little bit myself.
I feel like I have to go with the diphtheria.
There's an awful like "watch me dip, watch me theria" joke to be made. So, see that's our problem is like barely qualifying as millennials as a bunch is our Zoomer audience is gonna just immediately tune out after that.
Yeah. Like I make a Soulja Boy reference and they all go running. Anyway, really any music before 2010, we're fucked. But I'm really torn. So this is an entirely unhelpful comment because it's like, do I choose the Red Dead Redemption disease or do I choose the Little House on the Prairie disease?
That's true.
Yes.
Hard decision.
Laura
said,
Ingalls
I
wilding out right here.
I think I'm gonna go for cholera because it kind of sounds like something that would be in like a fancy salad. And that's a good enough reason to choose anything.
You know what? I support it.
Thank you.
I'm
Clearly living in Austin has changed me.
I'm gonna cholera it here. There were 3 waves of cholera. First wave cholera, which was about women's rights. Second wave cholera, which got really tough.
From fucking 3, Jesus Christ, Zach.
Oh wow! All these third wave cholera SJWs. I don't know, just shitting on my video games.
Oh my god.
Oh my god.
I was too busy focusing on the Caitlyn Bennett joke, so I applaud you, sir. That is amazing.
No, she just has 1800s ass politics, not an 1800s ass disease. Sorry, 1800s ass disease.
Gotcha.
Jesus.
So which one are we going with, Zach?
Cholera, definitely.
Okay, there we go.
Sorry,
God.
Alexxus, like Kelton said, we're literally just gonna ignore everything that you say in preference.
All right, now in the final round, we got some heavy hitters here. Okay, the first one is the quote unquote Spanish flu, which occurred in 1918. Although not from Spain, we decided that we're going to call it the Spanish flu for purely
It's that
propaganda
old-timey
purposes.
racism,
Yeah. And that wiped out 675,000 Americans in 1 year. Oof. And these are like 1918 stats. So, it's good times. And then it would come back in 1957 and kill 70,000 people. But we actually called it the Asian flu then. So I don't know what was happening during that time. But yeah, kind of wild of what we did there.
Christ.
And in 2025, the gamer flu finally hits America.
And of course the flu still continues to this day and is still very dangerous. It's still deadly, especially for parts of the world where immunization rates aren't higher up. But, we kind of have like cutesy things at drugstores being like, guess what, everyone? Are you a flu fighter? So we think that it's fine. This is going up against the strong number 1 seed, in my opinion, and that is smallpox, specifically from European settlers, as occurred in 1633 through 1634. Smallpox caused fever, rash, vomiting, etc., and killed over 1.5 million Native Americans with a mortality rate between 75 and 95%.
Well, I'm going to go ahead and hop out in front of us. My pick is smallpox because it is really amazing that in addition to just like the actively genocidal shit that settlers did in moving to the Western Hemisphere, like just the raw, ripe, unwashed asses of European settlers was enough to just murder a lot of people. Like, they stunk that bad. God damn.
It's what they wanted,
That's heinous.
Ultimately. Christ. Okay, so Alexxus, do you wanna take it away? What are you thinking?
Feel like I have to go with the smallpox.
Obligated, almost.
Almost,
like 1.5
almost.
million native voices were screaming at you, and you're gonna get poltergeisted if you didn't. I understand.
Oh my god. Yeah, no, I feel like I have to go with that one. Yeah.
Yeah. There's only coercion under society, so I also must fall in line with smallpox as the pick.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Zach, but this time around,
it's okay. I do, would prefer the European disease instead of this weird Spanish flu.
Yeah.
So
it's a nationalistic disease. We just can't stand for it.
Jesus Christ.
All right,
okay.
We're now into the semis here. So we have, back to the top of the bracket, we have polio versus typhoid fever. So, the classic polio, affected FDR versus typhoid Mary. You can picture the two of them duking it out, if you will. Or,
typhoid
FDR...
Mary certainly duked it out. I think that's what got all those people sick.
Damn.
Yeah, I'm just picturing like Typhoid Mary as Enchantress from Suicide Squad, and FDR and like this giant Gungam.
God, yes, I'm sure that'll really hit it off with our Reddit listeners.
Get me that fan art right there, right now, please.
I'm gonna go with typhoid fever. I like Typhoid Mary better.
Such a simp.
We're here to support our strong women. Typhoid Mary is a
oh my god,
is one of the inspirations behind this podcast.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
She may have killed almost 11,000 people, but they were mostly men. So.
Oh, okay.
Feminist icon, truly.
Absolutely.
Her milkshake brought all the boys to the yard, the graveyard. So I'm going with Typhoid Mary.
Okay, there we go. So
I'm gonna have to fall in line as well.
Good, you're learning.
Oh man, Typhoid Mary is just that bitch,
Yeah.
We stand this queen.
She did the thing.
Good God. All right, so now we have, again, the dominant force that is smallpox versus just the plucky up-and-comer, real dangerous from the perimeter zone, cholera.
What do y'all think?
I kind of want to say cholera just because it's a fun word to say, and it just
and was
seems
smallpox
like
really that big a deal?
It's just, it's like when you compare it, it's like, is it really? Is there really that big of a difference? Like, I don't know. One just sounds cooler, so we'll go with that one.
Okay.
There we go.
Right.
I'm glad we have the most stringent
woman.
of. I'm really glad we have like distinct and really strict guidelines for each round of judging that haven't changed at all. Because I haven't changed mine. my credentials for these diseases.
I
don't know about y'all.
I feel like without any indigenous representation here, we are just very used to covering up the issues that these now minorities face because we killed so fucking many of them. So I'm gonna stand smallpox again.
I'm just picturing now they're at Jamestown, there being that sign, just being like, there have been blank many days since a smallpox outbreak. Just every day, them just writing 0 over and over and over again.
They have to erase the 0 and then rewrite it every day.
So, do I pick the literal apocalyptic rancid butt disease, or do I pick the, hey, a cowboy shitting down the back of his horse rancid butt disease? And the latter is much funnier and much less sad, so I'm gonna go with cholera.
All right, so that's cholera 2-1, an upset over smallpox. This is
damn.
This is truly, I think, a good stance for us all to take. Something truly honorable of where now.
I mean, at least we're not talking about at least chickenpox didn't make it into here. Because then we truly would be like the...
chickenpox is like...
Oh, there were a ton of other various pandemics, but I literally was thinking, like, they are too silly, honestly. Like, there was an outbreak of some sort of spotted fever in Philadelphia over 2 years, and it just made 10% of the population of Philadelphia died. 20% of the population of Philadelphia just got the fuck out of town. They're like, nope. I mean, and we're talking like they just immediately left. Like once the bodies started piling up, they're like, all right, so we're going to move west. We're going to do this. We're going to go commit genocide across the Louisiana.
In West Philadelphia, born and raised.
So in our championship round, we have, I think what we can definitely assume were the clear winners, controversy-free, typhoid fever versus cholera.
I'm sticking with Typhoid Mary.
We stand a queen. I'm voting for typhoid.
Yeah, nah. We gotta stand for Typhoid Mary, man. Like,
yeah.
we already established she's an icon.
Truly,
in her capacity.
Yeah. She pulled by poisoning the people she was cooking for. She pulled a real Hail Mary, and all these puns suck. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, I know. Typhoid Mary, man. Yeah. Final answer.
I mean, Typhoid Mary is the winner, so yay! So if one of us dies in the in-between time of this recording and the podcast coming out, I mean, I think we're all obligated to, at your gravestone, just put up some of that fan art of Typhoid Mary and just be like, they wouldn't have wanted it this way. So, while we get working on this side project, though, Alexxus, it's time for plugs. What's going on in your world? What's happening?
Hi, hello. My name is Alexxus. I go by Lex. I am a mom. I am a podcaster. I am a writer. I am a jack of all pointless trades. I do a lot of dumb things that don't really add up to much, but they consume my life and they make me happy. So that's really all that matters. But yeah, I have a podcast.
What content does your podcast make that you would like to, like, you guys have regular episodes, right? Are y'all doing anything interesting, bonus episodes?
Yeah. So we do weekly episodes. We do one interview a month, and then the rest of it is just me and my co-host Lakin. We touch on a variety of topics. Each week is something different. We're we're still getting our flow because we're episode 14 right now, and that's because we had a couple of blips along the way. The podcast has been like alive and like in the works and like making episodes, albeit slowly, since the beginning of last summer, and so it's been a hot minute, but we had a couple of bumps along the way, and I had a couple of breakdowns that I had to attend to that prevented me from being able to.
Don't we all, right?
Yeah, exactly. We touch on a variety of topics. It's called Motherhood and Other Oddities, but it's not necessarily just about motherhood. My co-host isn't even a mom. She actually is
She's an oddity. Gotcha.
She's an oddity. Yeah. She's childless by choice. And then I have my son. So we kind of focus on just different tenets that we both kind of intersect on in terms of our personal experience. So we talk a lot about single motherhood. We talk about mental illness. We talk about chronic illness. We talk about feminism, and we talk about social justice, and we talk about things that are important and things that matter to us. Mixed in with all of our silly banter and our dumb jokes and our oh shit, we've got to edit that out because there's no way in hell we can release that to the public. So we have a lot of fun while we're doing it. So it's been a learning experience, but overall it's been a really rewarding experience, and I really enjoy podcasting and all that it has to offer, and the personal satisfaction that I get out of producing something that I'm proud of and showing it to the world. So we talk about anything and everything. It really is like Motherhood and Other Oddities, and we mostly focus in on the other oddities. We talk about anything and everything. Each episode is different. So it's really, really fun. We get to kind of stretch our legs in that way. So if you're into any of that, you should definitely check out the podcast and listen. I will promise you in advance that I am a garbage can.
Yeah, I mean, at the very least, just think about it this way. It's two people that are talking to each other that you can view as your friends, okay? So come on now, you lonely fucks. Just give them a listen. Get that serotonin pumped right into your brain.
Parenting and podcasting really dovetail well together because one is taking care of humans that are definitely still developing, and the other is parenting.
I'm not gonna.
Y'all can have that one for free. Yes, yeah.
Yeah, no, quite literally. I don't know. It's just really, really, really rewarding. And I learn something new every single episode, and I grow every single episode. We talk about personal stuff too. So we just did an episode that was basically just an expose on my personal mental health life in recent times. So that was really vulnerable and scary. But I feel like it's really important to curate that community, especially within parenthood, because it just can be so fucking lonely sometimes, especially if you're a parent that's what I would like to call a weird parent or a cool parent. You're not mm-hmm. You still have your sense of self, and you still are you, even though you're a parent. You didn't lose who you were.
Yeah, you're not a regular mom. You're a cool mom.
Yeah, exactly. That is MILF to you, sir. But
they have a union, Kelton.
that was the whole point of creating the podcast, was to create that community and be able to, we want you to listen and feel like you're talking with your friends. We want to be the girls next door that talk about interesting shit that you also want to talk about. That's kind of the vibe we go for, and it's what we try to, lean the podcast towards. But it also, I'm sure you guys know very well, podcasting also can have a mind of its own. And I think your show can kind of take its own lead and point in another direction if it so chooses. And I've been surprised in the ways in which I have learned and grown and had new experiences show me new ways in which I wanted to frame the podcast. So it's really nice. I don't know. I'm just going to keep saying over and over again, it was a rewarding experience, but it's a rewarding experience.
I fucking love that. No, that's an amazing way to look at, I mean, at least on our end, three assholes in front of our microphones, but at the end of the day, especially with something like y'all's, it is really community building,
No, absolutely.
I don't know about y'all. I wasn't doing this to, have a sense of community or gain a sense of self-worth to fulfill a narcissistic desire embedded in me deeply by my parents due to a lack of social support or internalized isolation. I was in it for the chicks, man.
I was about to say, ooh, that wounds a little, my man.
I was in it for the chicks. Jesus.
That's why I got Bo and Zach with me. That's right.
Not to pick up that point exactly and run with it, but I actually showed up on a couple podcasts this week. If y'all want more of me specifically, which I know
Go for
that's, really the protagonist of Psychic Dolphin Garage here. Fucking, I was on Future Left, which was very cool. We talked about kind of Texas politics specifically and growing up in Texas, and man, oh man, I cannot stress enough to people who didn't grow up here, we do spend probably 3 years just on the Alamo. It's fucked. Yep. And then I was on Machinic Unconscious Happy Hour discussing a very good Slavoj Žižek article about the coronavirus and how it relates to the Kill Bill movies, which... Thank God Zizek's back to his fucking Q zone there. Oh, and one more thing. Calvin, thank you for listening.
I mean, I guess if we're going to be doing shout-outs all the way, if you made it this far, you're a true comrade for sticking around. So shout-out also to our patrons, especially Scott for contributing to our dialectical tier, and Alien, Lauren, and Spencer for contributing to our Devil's Advocate tier. I mean, we couldn't really do the show without you. We got some exciting plans about... producing a little bit more actual content for our patrons, and we're very excited to start rolling that out in the coming weeks, so that way then we can really, set a class divide between the general public and our patron supporters, right?
And the podcast bourgeoisie, yes.
Well, that's really what it's all about. I mean, we're 40 something episodes into this. We have to get to the infighting. All right, it's time.
Absolutely, yes. There's nothing better for everyone involved than throwing shit fits entirely of our own design. Yeah.
Well, I mean, do we have anything else going on, Zach?
I was about to say that we already talked about our Super Tuesday stuff up front.
And now it's Super Duper Tuesday. We're talking about it again. Mario Kart Double Dash.
We're not gonna. No, we don't double dip on stuff. I'm winding up into
2 scoops
everything.
of Tuesday.
You take the second scoop from Typhoid Mary.
Your ticket pays for both ass cheeks in the seat, but you're only gonna need one. That doesn't cut that.
Yeah, no. Other stuff that we have going on, I guess check out our YouTube, because we don't mention that enough. But Dennis has been posting content and will be posting content in the future on there. And share our Facebook memes, share our Instagram posts, so that your friends can see our schedule and our sick OC that we cross post from the Reddit to the Facebook.
That's absolutely right. So, without further ado, join the Reddit. See you on YouTube, 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. It's Super Duper Tuesday, #Dead Rat Party. Deuces. Thanks for listening to another episode of Psychic Dolphin Garage. Check out our link tree in the show notes so you can join our Discord and subreddit and become a part of the community. Find our podcast on iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, or pretty much wherever you get your podcasts. Word of mouth is still the best way for us to bring this weird leftist show to as many people as we possibly can. So if you like the episode, please share it with someone, anyone. Just one other person at your school or office or parole hearing who you think might like what we do. We trust your judgment. Be sure to join us every week for Destiny Tuesdays on our Discord, the PDLR Fantasy Sports Show Thursdays on our YouTube channel, and Variety Game Night Fridays on Twitch. That just about covers it. All right, we love you. Bye.